We'll grab our P2 or Pentalobe 2 star bit and unscrew the 2 screws on the bottom, just like so. And then we will turn on our heating pad and heat it up for about 10-20 minutes. It took me a little longer and I had to use some extra heat. I normally use the Apple OEM screen remover tool, but I didn't have that handy here while I made you guys this video. We are going to heat it all up right now on the back side of the phone because we're going to pry off the back. And to do that, we want it to be too hot to touch. If it's not too hot to touch, it's not hot enough. But if it's burning hot touch, you're going to break something. But just saying, you would want the feel temperature to be like too hot to touch to be ready to pry it off. If you really like my saying there, I did make a t-shirt. You can check out my merch on my merch shop. Buy the shirt that says too hot to touch. I'll link in the description all the tools I'll use during this video. I got this little screw bit holder for the iFixit screw bits. And this is just for iPhones, and I have another one for MacBooks, and I'm just continuing to make more. And then you'll want a suction cup. You're going to want a plastic pry tool for this. And you're going to want a metal pry tool, so a plastic spudger, bended tweezers, straight tweezers, and that's about it. Oh yeah, you'll want some alcohol and some adhesive removing substance. All right, let's get into it. Go grab a suction cup to pull off the back. After you heat it up, you can use a heat gun too if it's just not too hot. And get your metal pry tool and just stick it down on the bottom right in between where the two P2 screws are. And then you'll just make a little slit for you to get a plastic pry tool underneath the back glass and work your way around the edges just like all the other iPhones. We'll speed it up a little bit. Just remember to take your time while you're doing this. You don't want to break anything. Especially I don't want to break anything because I just bought this phone. All right, so we will work our way around the edges. The cables are down on that side, so you're gonna, on the camera side, you're gonna lift it up on and then open it up from the left to the right. The cameras are always the hardest part on any iPhone to get around. And you just open it up just like that, and we can see inside. There is no standing water after we unboxed it underwater, and it stayed on and stayed working, and it looks like there's no water inside at all. But we're going to still do the full teardown and find out if there is any. So just say something happened to the render, so the quality of this has like such a high exposure. I apologize for the inconvenience that might cause you while you're trying to tear down your iPhone 16, but you're going to grab a Y000 screwdriver and unscrew the 2 screws holding down the bracket that holds down the battery connection and the back glass. I tore apart this phone in September. When the phone came apart, this is the first day the phone came out, and I took it all apart, and now I'm finally releasing the video for you guys. So please, like and subscribe. If you haven't checked out my channel, check out my channel, check out all my videos below. Now we can remove the bracket that holds down the battery connection. And it is this bracket here. You'll want to push it straight towards you if you're holding the phone open like this, and just grab it with your finger and just pull it right off. And then you can disconnect the battery connection, which is this one that has the plus and minus sign on it, and makes it nice and easy to know which one is the battery. And you'll be able to disconnect the battery right here out of the back. So you have to take off the back of the phone to disconnect the battery. Once the battery is disconnected, then you can disconnect the back and take off the back, and it has a flashlight on it and rear microphone and wireless charging pad, just so you're aware of what parts are on the back. Now remove the 1Y000 screw and grab out your PH000 screwdriver and unscrew all the screws holding down the bracket that holds down the rear camera, the front camera, the ear speaker, and the Wi-Fi antenna. And it also, I believe, has a 5G antenna on it, and it is where your volume buttons are connected as well. Now it's time to go to town on disconnecting everything with our flat end of our plastic spudger so we don't break anything. I'm sorry that it's not it's out of the frame a little bit here, and I apologize for that in advance, but I will make sure that I get it in the frame next time. The next one I disconnect. Here it is. So you want to give it a little bit of a twist to it so then it disconnects nice and gentle so you don't break anything while you're trying to tear this fully down. And I want to point out that I didn't focus on what happens with the camera connection. The little extra new side button on the side of the phone, I heard that it is unrepairable if you need to replace it, but I'm not quite sure if you just replace the frame and like the frame and hopefully not the back glass. So say the back glass is working and the screen is working, you would just do like the frame assembly and you should be able to still repair that part of the phone after you have reconnected everything, because nothing is soldered to the motherboard in this repair, like the iPhone 12 where the 5G antenna is soldered to it, and the 13. And the 14 it's not. All right, anyways, we took out the front camera, and now we're going to take out the ear speaker, and it also has a Wi-Fi antenna and 5G antenna all caked up on top of it. So we're going to have to unscrew these PH000 screws. After we get it disconnected, we'll get it all unscrewed. This phone is a game changer for the right to repair reasons. For it is when you unscrew the ear speaker, you don't have to take out the whole motherboard like the iPhone 13. If you were to do this repair and need to repair the ear speaker and replace it, you'll have to take it all the way apart. But luckily for this phone, if you replace the loudspeaker, the ear speaker, you'll be able to unscrew it right after you disconnect the battery, take off the back, take off the bracket, and then you can take it out after you unscrewed it, just like that. Perfect. Now we're going to take out the rear camera, and the same thing goes for the rear camera. It's not as complicated as the iPhone 15, how it's like got the cables wrapped underneath a different cable, and then you have to like remove the battery to take out the rear camera, which makes no sense. So then they created the iPhone 16. The iPhone 16 is one of the most repairable phones out there, other than what we don't know is what's going to happen with that mystery camera button. So hopefully the camera button doesn't break on your phone and you have just some other simple, easy, fixable, repairable problem. One thing that I wanted to point out during a screen replacement back in the past where you did a screen replacement, if the proximity sensor broke, you would lose Face ID forever. And the iPhone 16, if that happens to you, then it will still work. Face ID will still work even if you replace the proximity sensor. It's only tied to the front camera now. So if the front camera breaks, you'll have to buy an Apple genuine part and get Face ID back. But otherwise, then it would be worth it for repairability. But one thing I want to point out, the front camera probably cost about $200 just for the part. So hopefully you're doing the repair yourself, so then you can replace the front camera for just the cost instead of having to pay someone on top of replacing the front camera. Now let's see what we're in for. We're gonna unscrew all the screws holding down the charge port, and they are PH000 screws. And I wanted to recommend that you check out my other videos if you're trying to replace your charge port in your phone. I have a nice video that has color-coded screws, and it's a little bit slowed down and everything, so then you guys are able to repair yourself. But if the repair looks too complicated for you and you want to hire someone to fix it, you can always hire me. Email me, mark@worthitRepairs.com, and we'll get that set up. First, we'll remove the Taptic Engine, and it's held down by PH000 screws, and then you can just lift it out just nice and easy like so. And there is just basically all PH000 screws except for two Y000 screws right down at the bottom in between where the charge port is. And then we'll get them all removed so we can remove the loudspeaker. It's really nice to point out here, a game changer. If you're having microphone issues, the microphone is actually removable. In the iPhone 15, the iPhone 16 has, that's different, is that on the charge port, the microphone is removable, and that makes it more repairable. So more parts are repairable in this phone. And I just want to voice that some more, that this phone is going in the direction of the right to repair. The downside is MacBook repairs are going the opposite direction of the right to repair. Computers are supposed to be customizable, and they aren't anymore. And I wanted to talk about the battery. So the battery, you have to shock it to take it out, they say. But honestly, I tried to pull the pull tab and see if I could just pull the pull tab like the old-fashioned way, and it didn't seem to work. So then I just used some alcohol and my plastic pry tool, and I was able to pry out the battery, because the pull tab does not work if you try to pull it out because it needs to be shocked out, which is dumb. I don't understand why they need to make it that way. It doesn't make it easier for home users to repair their phone. And that's what makes no sense to me, because they're trying to kill independent repair shops with the Apple self-service program where you can repair stuff yourself. But then throw in, our repairs are so complicated that you're going to have to jump the battery out. So you have to buy these additional tools that cost yada, yada, yada. And I don't understand why they got to make it that way. Why can't they just say, hey, independent repair shops, we want your help. We want your help fixing these phones that are so complicated to repair, instead of making Apple self-service. Why don't they make like Apple resellers more capable? Like it just doesn't make sense for us independent repair shops out there to do the Apple self-service program, or the part costs an arm and a leg. We'll let the alcohol just soak in a little bit, and then we'll grab out our plastic spudger and we will remove the battery. We'll use our big fat plastic spudger to remove the battery and just carefully lift it out so then we don't bend up the battery too much, because I plan to put it back in. And the reason for why I want to put the battery back in is I want to do a brake test. And we're going to do a video, and I actually already made that video where I did a brake test of this phone. I threw it up in the air. I threw it off a second-story building, third-story building, ran it over with a car, and this thing has gone through everything, and it still is working. So anyways, I used it for a lot of my other videos, and I have now gotten rid of it, and I sold it, and now I don't have it because I need to make some more content for you guys, more than the iPhone 16, because there's a lot of other things out there that we can repair. And I'm trying to peel off the adhesive, and it won't peel off. We'll go on a disconnecting frenzy and make sure everything is disconnected before we flip out the board to disconnect the screen and the proximity sensor from the underside of the board. So we'll get everything removed, including this fake SIM card tray thing. And we will, I think it's just some sort of weight to make the phone seem heavier. Now we can try to take out the board to see how it comes out, and you just flip it on its side like so. Then grab out your Y000 screwdriver and unscrew the two brackets on the screen and the proximity sensor. Remove the brackets, disconnect it, and then you got the logic board out. And I wanted to say that this is the end of me talking. The rest of the video is just going to be music and me putting it back together. Thank you for watching, everyone, and like and subscribe, and check out my other videos. And please, just watch the whole video, because it really helps me, and it is free to you. And I'm hoping that you're watching on a TV right now, just trying to educate yourself while you're going to sleep, because that's what we should do. I mean, my nightlight is a Roku TV background, and I feel like maybe yours is too. Thank you again.
reminding us that even the smallest rock can have a hand at sculpting worlds. Asteroid.
Fix your tech with these marks, the expert you need. La 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 la.